let's close out this show with our 2024-25 NHL League predictions. I understand we're 2 games into this thing already. The New Jersey Devils are 2-0. Just saying, I said they were going to be good this year. They're undefeated. They are number 1 in the National Hockey League right now. So, small victory lap here, 2 games into the season for them and 0 games in for the other 30 teams. But let's kick off our league predictions with the Calder Trophy. A lot of names, and we've talked about it. Maybe Rutger McGroarty gets his name thrown into the hat for this one. Horwat, who are you taking for Rookie of the Year in 2024-25?
I tried to have some fun answers because there's going to be a lot of run-of-the-mill for all of these. A lot of people are going to say Michkov, so I'm going to try and have some fun with the Calder and say Lane Hudson with Montreal. A defenseman, so it's a little tougher. But I don't expect the Montreal Canadiens to make the playoffs or anything, but I love what that team is doing in terms of growing a young group into NHL stardom. Losing Patrick Laine for a couple months hurts their growth in terms of getting guys acclimated with the real NHL star. But they're going to be stars in their own right, each and every one of them one day. Lane Hudson, chief among them. And I could see him. I mean, Elliot Friedman already said before that his teammates are telling everyone to watch what Lane Hudson can do.
Hey.
So, I mean, yeah, that is, obviously pumping your teammates' tires, but also from the couple of NHL games of experience he already has, looked very, very good. And now that he's going to have the full year under him, it could be something special. And especially if the Canadiens are just playing fast and loose hockey, they don't have much to lose. They are in a growing year still. He could just pop off I'm not going to put numbers in it, but he could pop off for an incredible season from a rookie defenseman, no less.
Yeah, we saw a rookie defenseman kind of surprise everybody last year when it comes to Brock Faber, and he got his name into that finalist circle. So maybe year 2, back-to-back years, we got a defenseman up and in there. I'm going to go with Michkov. I have to. I mean, I tried, and I understand. I'll be doing the same exact thing that you're doing for a couple of these other awards. But I was looking around. I was like, okay, maybe Celebrini, maybe Will Smith, maybe I do throw in Rutger McGroarty. But at the end of the day, I feel like Matvei Michkov has the opportunity to be a superstar in year 1 for the Philadelphia Flyers. I mean, we saw it last year with Connor Bedard. He was a superstar for the Chicago Blackhawks, and honestly, him winning the Calder would have been by a much wider margin if he hadn't gotten hurt and missed 12+ games last year. If Michkov stays healthy, I think Michkov has a similar season to what Connor Bedard had, which it pains me to say, but I think the Philadelphia Flyers have a really, really bona fide stud in Matvei Michkov. Let's jump over to Rocket Richard, and this is one that I had a little bit of fun with. Obviously, last year, Austin Matthews absolutely lit the world on fire, but sometimes after a season like that, players tend to kind of fall back to the pack a little bit because they were so automatic one year. It's hard to duplicate something like that. If there's anybody that can, I'll say it's probably Austin Matthews. But I'm going with the fun answer on this one. I'm going with a long shot on this one. It's because I like what Barry Trotz did down in Nashville. This guy finished 6th in total goals last year. I'm going to say Philip Forsberg goes out and has a tremendous season. And it's not just because I really liked his episode on Inside the NHL.
There's the key. That is a fun one. Whenever you said Nashville, my mind immediately went to Stamkos. He's done it before.
Stamkos, yeah.
That also goes to show just how fun that team is going to be this year.
Marchessault, I completely forgot they went out and got Jonathan Marchessault too.
Don't worry, we'll talk about them later.
Oh.
I like that pick. I don't totally hate it. That's an interesting, you're right, long shot. Because I thought I had Matthews written down, crossed it out, and I thought the name I wrote down was going to be a long shot, but that's because goal scoring is up in the NHL, and it's usually led by Matthews, McDavid, Draisaitl a little bit. It was Ovechkin for a long time, but he still might get 40-something, 42 this year to really stand alone. It's going to be another fascinating year for goal scoring, and I don't hate Forsberg. That's a fun answer. This league could also use someone new winning that damn thing, right?
Well, yeah, outside of the guys that are just automatic goal scorers that seemingly can just skate across the blue line, rip a shot, and have no prayer of anybody else stopping that puck, like Matthews, like Nikita Kucherov is up there and does crazy stuff like that. So who do you have for the Rocket?
I thought it was a long shot myself, but then I heard yours. But Nathan MacKinnon, the reigning MVP award winner. I always have faith in the Avalanche, maybe a little more than I should. But something about Nathan MacKinnon coming off of his MVP season, the depth in Colorado isn't as good as it usually is. until they get all their guys back. It'll be up to him to sort of lead the charge. I mean, it usually is, but I'd say this season he pops off for a ton of goals. Maybe he touches that 60 mark. Maybe it stays under 60, but 50 something. With goal scoring going up, 60 is not an obscene number to say anymore.
Yeah, the poison pill with Nathan MacKinnon for goals is Mikko Rantanen is a trigger guy, and those guys often play together. But I like Nathan MacKinnon. I'm high on Nathan MacKinnon going into this year. I don't know how anybody couldn't be high on Nathan MacKinnon going into the season. And that's a good segue here because I have him winning the Art Ross. I don't have him winning the Rocket, but I think he'll lead the NHL in points this season.
That's not bad. It's not a bad guess. I think whenever you say Rantanen, I think I chose him to win the Rocket one of these days. Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense. So transitioning over to Nathan MacKinnon for the Art Ross, I like that too. It's, again, coming off an MVP year and without a couple of stars in the lineup and with kind of a weak depth, he's going to take over. He's going to take over big time for that team because they got to go somewhere. And someone's got to score on that team. I mean, yeah, it'll be him and Rantanen and, obviously Cale Makar. There's a ton that can be said about that team. There's so many great players, but it's Nathan MacKinnon's team. He'll be the one leading the way. For my Art Ross, I went McDavid just because really, you're going to go anywhere else?
Yeah, it's hard. Well, I mean, he didn't win it last year, right? And he put up crazy numbers, and it was Nikita Kucherov that outdid him. I mean, I was looking down at that Tampa Bay team is very interesting because there was a couple times it was like Kucherov, maybe at Rocket Richard. I was like, Gensel with Kucherov, maybe. I don't know. It's hard. I mean,
Gensel's hurt now. So.
Yeah, he's hurt right now. Yes, obviously, but I mean, that Tampa team is going to be very interesting, and maybe we'll get to that a little bit later. But I like the McDavid Art Ross because this is a revenge year for Connor McDavid. He got as far as he's ever gotten last year. He got so close, Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, and then just to fall short to an absolute wagon in the Florida Panthers. There's no shame in that, but I think that it's going to drive Connor McDavid to do some crazy things this year. So I had a hard time not picking him for the Art Ross, but with that said, I think he picks up his 4th Hart Trophy this year. I think there's no other way I'm going in this season because I think the Oilers are going to be really good all year long. And I think Connor McDavid obviously is going to be the catalyst for everything. He's the straw that stirs the drink up there in Edmonton. And I think he's going to do it again for his 4th Hart Trophy of his career.
Yep. I mean, who else could it be when it comes to the Hart Trophy? It's coming off of last year. I have to finish the Amazon thing, so I haven't seen his episodes yet. But just from the previews I'm seeing, there's no way that man isn't putting up 4 points a night. There's just no way.
Especially against the Penguins, because the last couple of matchups between McDavid and the Penguins, I think the Penguins have lost like 10-2 each time. At least it feels like that.
Casey DeSmith was in goal for one of them, I remember.
I just remember the 2022-23 season. That game was later in the year, and you looked at me and you said, "Yep, this is it. They're cooked. Like this is the low point of the trio. This is the low point of this group."
Yep, I remember Connor McDavid had a penalty shot against Casey DeSmith, and I thought that went exactly how you'd expect it to go.
Yeah, it did. So obviously, we're expecting big things from McDavid.